Wisdom's duty heeds I call, ever in Minerva stroll. Pass the torch from one to all, guide each destiny. 'Neath the purple and the gold, let thy history unfold. Sons and daughters, young and old, hail to Albany.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jill Delaney, class of 1996, president of the University at Albany Alumni Association. It's my honor to welcome you to the first ever virtual UAlbany Alumni Association Awards Gala. Tonight, we gather from across the globe to celebrate the UAlbany spirit of achievement and service that unites us all. This evening, we will hear about and hear from 16 exceptional Great Danes who have distinguished themselves through their professional accomplishments and inspired the world around them through their service. We'll be introducing half of our award recipients and then hear from them in a moderated armchair conversation. Then we'll do the same with our next 8 honorees. You'll have a chance to hear, in their own words, how UAlbany prepared them for their careers, the rewards of giving back to their alma mater, and the lessons they've learned on the road to success. At the close of the ceremony, you'll have an opportunity to visit with our honorees in individual celebratory breakout rooms. These are certainly challenging times we're living in, but UAlbany has risen to the challenge, and we have proved once again that we are a community bound together by our shared goal of providing life-changing education and unparalleled opportunity for our students. By the end of this evening, I am confident that you will leave us with the renewed sense of belonging and pride in this UAlbany community, and a renewed commitment to being part of this vision. We are able to bring you this celebration tonight, in part because of the support of our sponsors. I'd like to thank all of our sponsors, and in particular, our presenting sponsor, SEFCU, and our platinum sponsor, Catherine Zox, class of '83, for their continued support. Also, just a reminder that we would appreciate you keeping your video and audio off during the program. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce University President Avidan Rodriguez.
Good evening, everyone, and muy buenas noches. Thank you so very much for joining us this evening. For more than 50 years, we have been celebrating alumni and friends of the University at Albany who have had a significant impact in their fields, who have provided outstanding service to their alma mater, or who have improved the quality of life in their communities and beyond. I thank you for joining us tonight as we continue that tradition. While the ceremony looks very different this year, our commitment to honoring UAlbany's alumni and friends remains steadfast. Our alumni are a critical reflection of our excellence. Their impact on the world, their personal successes, and their service to their alma mater are all vital to our reputation and continued success. Last year, the Alumni Association began to rename its awards after prominent Great Danes from our past. Tonight, we continue that tradition by unveiling the Irvis Outstanding Young Alumni Award named for Kirkland Leroy Irvis, class of 1938. After graduating at age 18, Irvis became the university's third Black male graduate. A civil rights activist at a young age, he earned a law degree and was elected to the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. In light of the events of the past year, the Alumni Association is also announcing 2 additional new awards tonight to recognize the extraordinary efforts by alumni during a global pandemic and a national reckoning on race. Tonight, we'll hear from the Great Danes who are pioneers in their fields, who have given back to their communities in profound ways, and who have dedicated their careers and lives to inquiry and impact. I am extremely proud to have the opportunity to help recognize these extraordinary alumni and friends of the university. Felicidades to everyone, my congratulations to our honorees, and again, thank you all for joining us tonight. And now, let's get started with our first set of awards.
Elga Wolfert has been described as a force of nature and force for excellence for the University at Albany. Elga joined UAlbany in 1988 and has distinguished herself in numerous roles: professor, mentor, psychology department chair, dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, and interim provost. Along the way, she established UAlbany's RNA Institute and led efforts to establish the Center for the Elimination of Minority Health Disparities, as well as the Center for Undergraduate Research. Elga has been a strong advocate for underrepresented minorities on campus, co-chairing the President's Council on Diversity and Inclusion, and helping create a mentoring initiative and support group for faculty women and students in STEM fields. Elga's vision, commitment, and generosity have enriched this university, its students and faculty, beyond measure. Bob Ford, who coached UAlbany football for more than 40 years, will tell you he's coached some memorable players, but perhaps none more so than Eddie Delaney. Not just because Eddie was an outstanding all-league defensive lineman who happened to just have one hand, but because he had the heart of a champion. Coach remembers Eddie staying after games and encouraging young people who were also missing a limb to find ways to be successful. That's work Eddie continues today as a key volunteer for Nubability, an athletics foundation that hosts nationwide limb-different sports camps for young people. Eddie serves as head football coach and is a founding member of the board and key fundraiser. Nubability founder Samuel Cooner describes Eddie as the type of leader who has the ability to change the culture of an entire program. He gives his heart every day to make a difference in the lives of kids across the globe. Marissa Sotomayor, a partner with international law firm Paul Hastings LLP, is as dedicated to the firm's diversity and inclusion initiatives as she is to her day job. Marissa focuses on the recruitment, development, and advancement of women, especially those of color and underrepresented ethnicities. Marissa is a member of the firm's Global Diversity Council, former chair of the Paul Hastings Women's Initiative, and advisor to the firm's Women's Affinity Network. Among her memorable achievements is a collaboration with 30% Coalition on a series of private networking events around the country, bringing together talented women of color with executives interested in expanding their boards. Marissa's leadership and impact in her industry extends beyond her work at the firm. A proud first-generation American, she consistently pursues new ways to work with clients on advancing diversity, and her pro bono practice includes serving as outside counsel to impact investors in women-led micro-philanthropy businesses. From the Super Bowl to Broadway's biggest hits, Damien Bazzadona has led digital marketing efforts for some of the world's leading brands. He founded digital advertising agency Situation Interactive in 2001 on the basis of 4 core values: passion, innovation, collaboration, and commitment. A pioneer in his field, Damien has grown the one-man show to a thriving, award-winning agency with offices in New York City and London. Damien also passionately invests in arts education and community involvement. He founded the 501c3 corporation Situation Project, the Situation Cares Ian Bennett Memorial Scholarship, and the Situation Interactive Prize for Experience Research at UAlbany. Damien continues to have an enormous positive impact professionally and by opening doors for the next generation. As one colleague put it, his pursuit of untapped opportunity, both for business gain and community good, is relentless. Kevin Kruger's career in student affairs began as a student at UAlbany, where he served as a resident assistant and orientation leader. 4 decades later, he leads the largest professional association for individuals working with students on college and university campuses around the world. NASPA, the National Association of Student Personnel Administrators. Kevin has served as president and CEO of NASPA since 2012 and serves as the primary spokesperson for the student affairs profession. NASPA has thrived under Kevin's leadership, and he has positioned NASPA's work as central to the national conversation around student success and college completion. He has claimed a significant voice for NASPA in the public policy arena, particularly advocating for student success initiatives, veterans programs, emergency aid policies, and sexual violence prevention. Debbie Millman has been named one of the most creative people in business by Fast Company and one of the most influential designers working today by Graphic Design USA. If that weren't enough, she's also an author, curator, educator, brand strategist, entrepreneur, and podcast host. Debbie is the founder and host of the award-winning Design Matters, one of the world's first and longest-running podcasts. For 20 years, she served as president of Sterling Brands and worked on brand identity for Burger King, Hershey's, Star Wars, and more. In 2009, she co-founded the world's first graduate program in branding at the School of Visual Arts in New York City. The program, like so many of Debbie's efforts, has achieved international acclaim. No surprise for this creative superstar. The American Red Cross has long stood as a beacon of public service and humanitarianism. Gary Stryer, who served as CEO of the Red Cross's Eastern New York region until his retirement last year, exemplifies those qualities. As CEO, Gary led a small staff of more than 1,900 dedicated volunteers, serving 27 counties in upstate New York with a population of over 3.6 million. Under his direction, the Red Cross provided health and safety training, support for members of the military, and a stable blood supply for the area, as well as responded to thousands of local disasters every year. If there was an emergency call in the night, colleagues said, Gary was always quickly on hand, offering support to those in need and exhibiting the compassion and dedication that is at the very heart of the Red Cross. Bruce Geller started working in investment management a year after graduating from UAlbany, and he's never looked back. After a year as an analyst in the public finance department at Bear Stearns & Company, he joined DGHM, a well-respected, value-oriented investment boutique. Bruce eventually rose to lead the firm as CEO for over 13 years. Last July, after 28 great years, he left DGHM and created Geller Ventures LLC, which provides investment management and consulting services to institutions and high net worth individuals with a specialty in publicly traded small and micro-cap securities. Bruce also was a founding shareholder and board member of Playwire LLC, a digital media company, and an early investor in Mack Weldon, an innovative e-commerce-based men's apparel company. Bruce is the founder of the Geller Karnark Memorial Fund, which supports children's causes, military veterans, and those who are underprivileged or have special needs.
What an incredible group of awardees that we have with us tonight. Congratulations to all of you on this tremendous honor. And thank you to everyone for joining us tonight as we make these celebrations official at long last. My name is Ann Hughes, a proud member of the Great Dane family in the Division of University Advancement. And again, thank you for being here. I am so excited to be part of our conversations tonight with our award recipients. As we mentioned earlier, we've broken the evening up into two conversations, starting with the 8 award recipients that we just heard about. We're going to spend a little time talking to them, then we're going to learn about the other 8 awardees and have a conversation with them as well. So I want to get started right away, and our first question is for Elga. Elga, you are described as a force for excellence at the University at Albany. What is it about UAlbany that has made you dedicate the past 30 years to this institution?
That's a very, very interesting question. I started at UAlbany as an assistant professor, and as you heard, I worked my way all the way up to a long-standing dean of arts and sciences, and in the end, interim provost before I returned to the faculty. And so I think the university has provided me with a tremendous opportunity to develop my career, both as an educator as well as a researcher. And I have always tried to really do the very best I can in everything I do. I have enjoyed the administrative work. I have enjoyed certainly my research. I have kept a program of research going through all the years that I was an administrator, and I have continued to train doctoral students, which was one of the most rewarding aspects of my career, because to really enjoy the success of the students whom you have trained and see that they go on to faculty positions or they become clinicians. So, I mean, basically, the university has offered me the opportunity of doing all these different things, being an educator, a researcher, an administrator. So that is why I stayed for 30 years.
Well, thank you, Elga. We're so glad. Eddie, we all face adversity. What are the lessons you've learned that you share with the kids that you coach about facing life's challenges?
Another great question. You know, the one thing I share with all kids is that, you know, just because you have a limb difference doesn't make you different and doesn't put you behind by any means. In my mean, you have to work harder, and you might have to outshine others a little more to make sure your abilities are shown. But above else, it's all about confidence, and that is the one thing that I love about what I do, is seeing a shy kid come to camp, maybe hiding, or not hiding, but putting their nub in their pocket, when they come up, and then by the end of camp, they're leading drills. And you just see these kids grow up. I've been doing it for some time now, almost 10 years. And to see kids grow up and know you had, just a small impact on their progress through life is just so meaningful. So, that's what I try to share. Just, have that confidence, be yourself, and don't let anything get in your way. You can do anything.
Making a difference in so many lives. Thank you, Eddie. Our next question is for Marissa. Marissa, you're being recognized tonight for your commitment to diversity and inclusion. There are a lot of causes that you could have devoted your time to, but why this one?
Excellent question again. I probably don't have enough time to answer that, but first and foremost, right, I think diversity highlights that which makes us all different, right? And maybe just to kind of narrow this down a bit, women's affairs have always been very important to me, especially as a professional woman. It wasn't until the early 1900s that women were actually admitted to law schools in the United States. And, as a female attorney and seeing that first year associate classes at law firms were 50% male female, but in the partnership ranks, we have most of the time less than 20% on average female equity partners at law firms. It became very clear to me I needed to do something about this. And then I expanded also into underrepresented groups and especially women of color, because those women especially have rougher roads. And so because it was a cause that was near and dear to my heart and something that affected me, and because I was in a position to actually do something about it and affect change, this became my passion.
Well, it's wonderful. Thank you. Damien, in the remarks, one of your colleagues described you as relentless in the pursuit of untapped opportunity. What is it that drives you?
I think my family, believe it or not, at this point, I've gotten old. I used to feel young, and I just feel like as I've aged, I have two kids that are both watching now, 8 and 11, Clive and Desmond. And I feel like there's nothing more, at this point in my career, I want to be proud of the work that I do when my children look at me, that they value the work that I do, and it just make them proud. And so a fair amount of my time, and I'm happy it was talked about in the bio, is I try to give back a lot, both to the university. Anything that supports public education is in my heart. I think public education is just probably the most important component of our society. And I feel like it's completely underfunded, for lack of a better word. So I try to fight and advocate for that. So for me, what motivates me is just really the reflection of my children and my beautiful wife who I met at Albany. Is just really that they look at me and look at me that I did something good with my life, and I'm proactive in the community.
Excellent, thank you. Kevin, you had originally planned to be a social studies teacher. What changed your mind?
Well, I started off being a 10th grade social studies teacher, and not to be funny about it, but I really discovered that 10th graders weren't that interested in social studies. So I was kind of in this position of doing something and not getting a lot of reward back. And Albany changed everything for me. At the time I was a resident assistant, and I went to my hall director, Lenny Travaglione, I said, how do you get to do what you do? And he was the one that said, oh, well, this is a whole profession of student affairs. You can get a master's degree and so on and so forth. But what I ended up in a teaching adjacent field, right? Because I really feel like student affairs is completely about education and helping young people reach their potential and help students who have less privilege overcome some of the barriers that allows them to get a college education.
Super. Debbie, you've been called one of the most creative people in the business. Why is creativity important, and is it important for everyone?
Oh, that's a big question. Before I answer, I just really want to say thank you. This means so much to me. Albany was really the first time, being in Albany and going to UAlbany was the first time in my life that I ever felt like I could be creative. And I've carried that through my whole life. I also want to thank my wife, Roxanne, for being here with me, and my friends and family who are here, especially my nieces and nephew, Jackson, Rebecca, and Ava, who I just love so much. But, you know, we're all creative. And I think that we can choose to live a life that's filled with creativity, no matter what we do, whether we're in business, whether we're in the arts, whether we're teaching. I think creativity is really the birthplace of our humanity. And that is, I think, the fundamental and most meaningful way we can connect with each other.
Super. Thank you, Debbie. Gary, as CEO of the Red Cross's Eastern New York region, you've dedicated your life to public service. Why is giving back to your community so important?
I think one of the things I learned at the Red Cross is during the 14 years before I left last June is that there's so much need in the community. There are so many people every day that need help in the community. And, you know, and the Red Cross is always there. And, you know, we have 18 or 1900 volunteers who are, you know, truly the best people in the world. And, you know, to have the opportunity to lead those people and to serve a community that has, you know, so many needs was amazing to me. And I think, you know, kind of sort of Damien said this a little bit, as you get older, I think you think about different priorities in life and you start thinking about giving back and, you know, what you're going to leave behind. And to me, you know, being involved in a great organization that could just be out in the community, helping people in need every day was priceless for me.
Oh, well, you've certainly done an amazing job.
Thank you.
Bruce, you serve as the chairman of the advisory board for UAlbany's Center for Institutional Investment Management. What about your experiences at UAlbany keeps you connected and makes you want to take the time to mentor students?
I just really had a great experience there with Dr. Smith in particular, one of the finance professors. And he's been always a tremendous advocate and cheerleader and great friend of mine over the years. And I've just loved the idea sharing with him. I'm very passionate about investment research, and we've always stayed in close touch, sharing ideas. So he gave me the opportunity to be involved and be the chairman of the advisory board of SIM. And, you know, it's just been great to continue to interact with the students and mentor them. I love to be an advocate for them as, you know, prior Albany alum mentored me when I graduated. So I felt that it's important to, you know, return that back to the university, and, you know, hopefully that will continue on down the line.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to our second round of questions. Elga, I'm going to start with you again. You co-founded the university's first women's leadership conference, Authoring Women's Success. What motivated you to be part of this effort?
I have always been interested in diversity and inclusion. I also co-chaired the President's Council for 9 years. And I was particularly aware, of course, that we have a paucity of women, for example, in STEM fields, okay? And so I was instrumental with my dear friend, Marlene Belfort, a distinguished professor of psychology and a member of the National Academy of Sciences, of creating a Women in Science and Health group, the WISH group, that still exists. And that is really for women in STEM fields. And then with President Rodriguez, we then created this Women in Higher Education. So this is a group for women across the entire university, not just for women in STEM. And I think it is wonderful because, of course, we have linked both groups and have seen how this group is very, very useful to integrate and to provide a forum for women across the university to deal with issues that are of particular interest to women.
It's truly making a difference. Thank you, Elga.
Sure.
Eddie, you're a more recent alum of UAlbany. Is there a particular memory that stands out to you of your time here?
Oh boy, that is a great question. I have quite a few. I mean, I think one of my greatest memories has to be my senior football season. Clinching my third conference championship, being there with a group of young men who to this day are some of the best friends in my life, and obviously with the legend Coach Ford. And that same year we actually clinched the first playoff berth in UAlbany history. So that's got to take the cake for my favorite memory, although I have quite a few.
All right, thank you. Marissa, you hold both a bachelor's degree and a master's in public administration from the university. How did your time at UAlbany impact your career and your life path?
Oh, fantastic question. It's really interesting, actually. I think I always knew I wanted to be an attorney, except for a short stint in my teens where I thought I was going to medical school, but we all see how that turned out. In any event, I studied political science, and one of my mentors, and to this day a great friend, Dr. David McCaffrey, suggested, why don't you take a look at the MPA program? And I said, okay, never thought about it. And I actually used what would have been my senior year at UAlbany to get a master's degree. And I have said this before, and I will say it here in this public forum, truly my graduate school experience and what I learned at Rockefeller College during my master's program prepared me for my career as a finance attorney, in many ways a lot better than law school did. I learned things like accounting and financial management. I worked in the governor's office, and I learned how to present to folks and present to audiences. I learned how to write memos and clearly and concisely organize my thoughts and present my thoughts. And so, I really credit the 4 years at UAlbany for teaching me those things and truly preparing me to then go to law school, but really for my career in law.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Damien, you've hosted students at your company for career events. You've shared advice with undergrads, and you created the Situation Prize for Research for UAlbany students. Why do you think it's important for UAlbany alumni to stay involved and to give back?
Well, I do it very self-centeredly, to be honest with you. I get so much joy, and anyone who spends time with students recognizes the honesty, the energy that comes off of a campus at University of Albany campus. It's just amazing. I've calculated, I've been going back for many, many years. I've talked to over, I think it's somewhere between 10 and 12,000 students since I've graduated. I go back every single year and I talk to students. They ask them the smartest, most honest, authentic questions, and it keeps me on my toes. So I get a lot out of it personally. It just invigorates my soul. I think hopefully I'm giving back. And I know when I was sitting in the seat where a lot of people were, I was the first in my family to graduate college. So going through knowing what I did not know at the time, I just try to bring that knowledge back, but I do it in a very self-serving way. I get a lot out of it myself personally. So, and I love doing it. I love it.
Well, we all do as well. Thank you. Kevin, your career in student affairs began more than 40 years ago. You had said earlier as an RA at UAlbany. What keeps you passionate about this field?
For me, it's the why, which it's the idea of actually making a difference in people's lives. And in today's educational world, we know that we have challenges around first-generation college students. That's been mentioned today. Low-income students, Black students, Latinx students, Indigenous students, and their persistence and completion towards a degree. So the work we do really is about changing lives, right, and creating opportunities, and that's why I feel so blessed to do this work. My wife and I have this conversation all the time. I'm one of the few people that she knows that loves to come to work every day because I'm so energized by the kind of work that we get to do and the power of that work.
Tremendous. Debbie, as an entrepreneur, you've had epic successes, and I'm sure you've had your share of failures as well. How do you handle it when things go wrong?
Oh, I cry. I wallow in despair. And I've had a lot of failures. I often talk about my career, the first 10, really 15 years of my career being experiments in rejection and failure. But I do see things as cyclical. And I remember being in college at UAlbany, my freshman year, feeling so alone. I had come from a very small high school, and here I was at this very large university. But by the end of my 4 years there, my life transformed, and I've learned a lot of lessons in understanding the circuitous nature of experiences and how those rejections or failures at the time, while seeming so catastrophic, could actually be some of the most important moments of your life. And there are people here today that are part of the celebration with me that can attest to that, as well as friends that I made in Albany 40 years ago that are here. So I think it's all part of the way that life unfurls and the way that we have the opportunity to learn and grow from everything.
Great, thank you. Gary, you earned a master's degree from Rockefeller College, and you serve on the college's advisory board. Was there a faculty member or a particular class that you took that really shaped your experience and where you headed with your career?
I think it was really the entire, curriculum, the entire program, just giving me a sound basis in public administration, the budgeting, the finance, all of those sorts of things. And I have to say, for me, being engaged with the school since then, as an alumni, has been incredibly rewarding for me. The chance to spend time with the students and talk with them, and as others have said, they're the smartest, best people in the world, and I'm incredibly impressed at how the university and the college prepare those students for future life. It's something that I think schools did less well many years ago, and some schools still don't do all that well, but it's just been incredibly rewarding to me every day to have the opportunity to engage with the SUNY Albany students and the faculty.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Bruce, being an entrepreneur usually comes with a certain amount of risk. How do you overcome the fear that most of us feel when taking risks?
You just have to, I think you just have to put your head down, go one step at a time, and have the confidence that you've got all the tools to succeed. And I feel that that mentality has usually served me well and paid off. And I will say that, just thinking back to my first job at Bear Stearns, I remember feeling very intimidated because all the other young analysts were from Ivy League schools. And, I just felt intimidated by that, competing with them. But then I realized once we actually started doing the work that I was actually more well prepared than they were. And it just taught me that, as long as you work hard, then, and certainly UAlbany helped give me all those tools I needed to succeed and compete with the best people out there. So from that point on, I really had that confidence. And whenever I speak to students at the university, I always reassure them that the university is giving them the tools that they will need, that they will need to succeed in the workplace, and that they really should not be intimidated by the competition, because they are going to be even more well prepared than they might expect.
Oh, great message. Thank you. All right. Before we go, we're going to do a quick lightning round. I'm going to ask the same question of all of you, and we're just going to do a quick one sentence answer, or maybe two at the most. Here's the question. Is there a single habit that you employ in your life that matters more to your success than the others? Is there a single habit that you employ in your life that matters more than the rest in your success? Elga, starting with you.
Persistence pays off.
Eddie.
I swear Elga took my answer. I was going to say persistence. I'm not even lying. But if I can't use persistence, I'll say hard work and dedication.
Super. Marissa?
I try to stay positive.
Damien?
I'm delusional to failure.
Kevin?
Get up early.
Debbie?
Try not to take no for an answer.
Gary?
I think it's always trying to be nice to people, both in and out of your work. You have the best employees in the world if you're treating them well, and they'll do anything for you. So I think it's led to a lot of success.
Oh, fantastic answers from all of you. I just want to give you a big round of applause. I feel a little silly here in my house alone clapping for you, but I know that everyone who's on this meeting with us is clapping as well. So thank you so much. I just want to thank you for bringing pride to this university, and truly my most sincere congratulations on this honor. We're going to turn now to the second set of our awardees for the evening, and we'll be back for another conversation right after this.
People describe Dan Hart as a bit of a Renaissance man, an innovative scientist and engineer. You might also find him playing the electric guitar or behind a drum set. A physics major at UAlbany, he also was an avid theater performer. This marriage of technical prowess and creativity has helped Dan solve some of the hardest challenges in aerospace programming, from satellite development to missile defense to human spaceflights. Dan is currently CEO of Virgin Orbit, a pioneering commercial space firm. Earlier this year, the company's 747 airplane took off from a runway in Southern California and released a rocket that ignited and delivered 10 satellites into orbit for NASA. The rocket is the first liquid orbital launch vehicle ever to be air-launched and is positioned to be a key asset for NASA, the DoD, commercial satellite companies, and U.S. allies. In 2018, Dan encouraged UAlbany students to reach for their own stars as the keynote speaker at the university's undergraduate commencement ceremony.
You are go for liftoff. Good luck.
Don Boyce is Vice President of Regulatory Relations for Barclays. But it isn't just his professional success that sets him apart. It's also his constant willingness to give back to his alma mater. The list of his contributions is extensive. Long-standing member of the Rockefeller College Advisory Board, career panelist, mentor, co-host of the New York City Intern Event, member of the Financial Market Regulation Advisory Board, and chairman of the Financial Market Regulation Alumni Network. In 2014, Don established an endowed scholarship that supports business students who demonstrate commitment and service to the university. Deirdre Sweeney, Director of Career Services for the School of Business, notes, Don has and always will bleed purple and gold, and we are forever grateful for his passion and dedication to the university. Judge Yannette Rosado was born in the Dominican Republic and emigrated to the United States when she was 4. She grew up on the Lower East Side in Manhattan, experiencing firsthand the challenges of living in an urban community. Yannette, who knew from a young age that she wanted to be a lawyer, was determined to use the criminal justice system to help people, and she has, both as an attorney and a judge. Honored as one of the Bronx's 25 most influential women, Yannette, who is now a New York State Supreme Court Justice, remains passionate about giving back to her community. She continues to serve as a leader in her community, where she seeks to educate and empower those who are underrepresented and underserved. When Rob Stone was 8 years old, he sent his dad a list of candy that he wanted to bring with him to his sleepaway camp. not because he had a sweet tooth, Rob says, but because Rob knew he could resell it for a profit. And an entrepreneur was born. Rob has parlayed that entrepreneurial spirit and a love for music into a series of successful business ventures. After holding key positions in a number of record companies, including Arista Records, where he helped usher hip-hop into the mainstream, he co-founded the Cornerstone Agency, a globally acclaimed, trend-setting marketing agency that has helped redefine some of the world's most iconic brands, like Nike and Coca-Cola. He is also the co-founder of music, style, and culture magazine, Fader Inc.
Fader's one of our partners.
Fader's still my favorite publication that I've done to date.
In 2002, he co-founded Fader Label, an independent record company, launching the careers of numerous artists and solidifying his reputation as one of the music industry's most powerful high-profile voices.
Look at Rob Stone's life. It's a perfect example of someone who's figured out what they would do for free because you love it so much.
Have a great time, follow your passion. Thank you.
As both a researcher and educator, Dr. Peter Afflerbach has made extraordinary contributions to the field of education. His research interests focus on reading assessment, reading comprehension strategies, and the verbal reporting methodology. He has provided commission reports to the U.S. Department of Education, National Center for Educational Statistics, International Literary Association, and many more agencies and research centers. And his work has been used to impact educational policies and practices throughout the United States and around the world. In fact, Peter has become known as the reading assessment expert nationally and internationally. When COVID-19 arrived in Albany in March 2020, Albany County Department of Health Commissioner Dr. Elizabeth Whalen and her staff immediately got to work. Elizabeth leads a staff of 90 employees who are responsible for contact tracing, tracking cases and deaths, collecting and analyzing data, coordinating widespread testing, educating the public, and providing support for the reopening of businesses and schools. Albany County Executive Dan McCoy noted, throughout this pandemic, Dr. Whalen has consistently provided real-time information in a manner that balances the urgency of the situation with the need to inform the public in a calm way during a difficult time. As the pandemic continues, so will Elizabeth's around-the-clock efforts to guide Albany County citizens through a massive vaccination effort and to stem the spread of COVID-19. According to his longtime friends and colleagues, Gene Holzer has always possessed the drive and spirit of an entrepreneur, often described as dedicated, inspiring, and a born leader. Gene has led his South Florida-based employment agency, Ascendo Resources, to great success as a nationally known executive recruiting firm. Despite the turbulent business environment during the pandemic, Ascendo Resources grew 11% in 2020. Under Gene's leadership, Ascendo Resources has garnered an impressive list of honors and awards in staffing and consulting fields, and is regularly recognized by American business media powerhouses Forbes and Inc. magazine. Economist Uchla Marathe has been investigating problems of societal importance throughout her career. She currently holds a joint appointment in the Biocomplexity Institute at the University of Virginia and the Department of Public Health in the School of Medicine at UVA. Through the use of sophisticated modeling and large-scale simulation tools combined with novel data analysis techniques, Uchla has made important contributions in a number of research areas. These include computational epidemiology modeling and simulation, sustainable energy, health economics, public policy, and network social systems. Since real-world problems are rarely confined to a single discipline, it is critical for today's researchers to have both breadth and depth. And UCHLA has notably transcended those boundaries to engage in groundbreaking transdisciplinary work for more than 20 years.
I'd like to welcome you all back, and I am honored to speak with this exceptional group of alumni. Let's jump right into the conversation. All right, we're going to start with Dan. I don't get to say this every day. I don't think many of us do. You shoot rockets into space. It sounds like the coolest job ever. Tell us, is it?
It actually is. You know, it's an exhilarating time. It's actually kind of a spiritual experience in a lot of ways. You know, it's this moment where a group of people have been working together on hard problems and pushing through for months and months or sometimes years. And then there's this day, this moment that happens, and everybody is together, and all eyes are on eventually on the rocket and the system, and it is this feeling of togetherness and hope, and it's almost undescribable, but the exhilaration is incredible. I watched one of the launches I did a few years ago. I decided to watch the team and watch the eyes drift over to the launch site, and everybody stand up around T-minus 35 seconds. There was no reason to stand up. And then you see these people with these exhausted expressions with these grins on their face if it works. And if it doesn't, they're working really hard.
Oh, rewarding in so many ways. Thank you. Don, let's go to you. You've remained connected to the university since you graduated, and people have described you as bleeding purple and gold. What about your experience at UAlbany has led you to be so committed?
Thanks, and thanks for the recognition tonight. I really appreciate it. There's no doubt I wouldn't be in this career track and as successful of a professional without the doors that were opened at the time at UAlbany, between the faculty, the mentors I've had, and the mentors that I've been able to keep. The reason why I've gone the way I have is courtesy of those doors. So I appreciated the kick in the pants 13 years ago, and I have enjoyed returning that to students that are struggling with the same things I was struggling with.
Thank you. Yannette, you grew up on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. What did it mean to you to come to UAlbany, and how did UAlbany prepare you for eventually becoming a New York State Supreme Court Justice?
Leaving the Lower East Side to UAlbany was like day and night, and it took a little bit of an adjustment. But what SUNY Albany provided to me was to meet people of different races, different classes, different backgrounds, and to really offer me an opportunity to see what the world had to offer. In terms of how it got me to where I am today, I think that SUNY Albany teaches you resilience. Sometimes some of us didn't have enough money, so we had to go to each other and eat those oodles and noodles in State Quad or Indian Quad. And so you learn to forge relationships and you learn to conquer. And I believe that that truly assisted me in achieving my goal.
All right, thank you. Rob, you founded a highly successful marketing agency, a trend-setting magazine, and your own independent record label. And you've worked with some of the most influential artists in hip hop and R&B. When you were a student at UAlbany, did you think you would reach this level of success?
I always had drive, and first off, thank you for having me here. And I guess this has never been more appropriate having Dan on the panel, but what I do is not rocket science. So, you know, I've just always been a curious person. When I was at Albany, I was hit with everyone was getting prepared and ready for Fountain Day in the spring, my sophomore year, and I was diagnosed with cancer. And it was hip hop and music that got me through it. So at a very young age, I realized that music could move me. could I use music to move the world? And, you know, I've been blessed to be around some of the most talented people. And I've just always stayed curious. So I think, you know, my parents have had so much to do with my success and motivating me to chase my passion. And, you know, I was an accounting major, I was into finance and marketing, but it was the experience of being at Albany and the friends that I made and being curious about life that drove me to do what I do.
It's incredible. Thank you. Peter, you are a 3-time alum from UAlbany. What is it that kept you coming back?
Well, first, I have to say, what a wonderful group of people. It's an honor to be part of this. I think the cold weather, you know, like if you have to pursue degrees, having the winters we have in Albany is like, how can you fight the urge not to study when it's 20 below outside and the wind is raging? So I just was, a few people have talked about the wonderful faculty at Albany and how smart and sharing and inspirational they are. And that, I guess that kept me coming back, and it had a good outcome. So I'm very appreciative of it.
All right, thank you. Liza, as Commissioner of the Albany County Department of Health, you've been praised for your extraordinary leadership during the COVID-19 crisis. What qualities do you think enabled you to be so successful during this pandemic?
Well, I first of all want to say thank you to you and thanks to everybody for being here tonight. What an amazing group, and I've really enjoyed hearing the stories. In terms of my success, I attribute a lot of that to the team that I work with. I have a phenomenal staff at the County Health Department who are incredibly dedicated to the work that they do. And working with them, I think, is energizing and challenging and you know, makes me really want to bring my best game to work every day. I think in terms of personal attributes that have been helpful to me, I would probably rank humor as number one, keeping a sense of humor when things are very unpredictable and when we are working, you know, longer hours than we're used to has been very helpful to all of us. And really just a feeling of dedication and a feeling of mission of wanting to do the best work that we can do for the community that we serve. I think that's been at the forefront of all of our minds through all of this.
Amazing, thank you. Jean, you were just described in the video as an exceptional entrepreneur. How did your experiences at UAlbany shape the successful businessman and entrepreneur that you would become?
Thanks, Ann, for the question. I want to reiterate what Peter said. It's a very impressive group of award recipients. Albany taught me a lot about not just the technical skills of education. I also was an accounting major, but also life skills. Navigating, you know, in your early teen or late teens, early 20s, just, you know, paying your bills, paying your rent when you live off campus, things like that. And the hard work that it takes, the formal education that you get at Albany, and most importantly, the relationships that I had and still have. I actually met my wife, who's sitting next to me. She's also a 1995 grad. And some of the friends that are on this call observing, lifelong friends that have propelled me to success.
Super. Achla, you received both a master's and a doctoral degree in economics from UAlbany. How did your time here shape your career as a researcher, a scientist, and a professor?
Great question. First of all, thank you for the honor and the award. I'm really grateful to SUNY Albany for, you know, giving me this award. It means a lot. Yes, I got both my master's and PhD there. I was even though I was a, you know, student in economics, my path to where I am today went through, you know, data science, energy, computer science, computational science. But I think University of Albany prepared me really, really well. I had great mentors like Professor Shockey, who's here, and Bruce Diefenbach, and Ravi, who is also on the call. Wonderful mentors wonderful set of friends, and the support that I got, financial support I got from as a graduate student. I couldn't have done my PhD or master's without the support from Albany. I also met my husband here at Albany, who was a computer science student at the time. He was doing his PhD in computer science. So yeah, I have a lot to be thankful for. My career, my family. I have a lot to attribute to. So thank you for the award.
Oh, thank you. We're going to go on to our second round of questions now, starting again with Dan. A former colleague said, a strong case can be made that Dan Hart is the best space systems engineer in the world today. To what do you attribute that level of success?
Well, obviously misinformation. Well, I mean, I think, systems engineering for space systems, and there are a lot of great professionals out there, so I am deeply touched by the comment. It's all about straining your brain and learning and questioning the status quo and pushing for new answers to hard problems. And that's part of it. And then it's working with people. I mean, aerospace, everybody thinks everybody's sitting in the room by themselves discovering a new element. It's really, how do you get a bunch of bright people who don't necessarily naturally work and communicate together to bring the great ideas and mature them to where you have a solution. I've never seen a problem ever where 5 people around a whiteboard can't come up with a solution after a certain amount of time, ever. So, I mean, I guess it's learning, persistence, working with people, and having friends that, tell fibs about you.
So humble. Don, as an active member of the university community through your volunteerism, can you tell us, what does it mean to be part of that UAlbany alumni community?
Well, the bleed in purple and gold, I mean, it just comes second nature to me. I thought, graduating, it was going to be kind of an end of an era. You leave Albany, you pack up your stuff, and you say sayonara to the bad weather, and go to the next chapter. That has not been the case. In the past 13 years, been able to come back to campus, talk with students, interact, and provide that advice to students working through that transition, to also pack up and head out of Albany, is what pushes me. Similar to what someone else said earlier, is I am not going to take. I'll take the most challenging student that the business school or Rockefeller College has to challenge them and get them to think, because what they're getting at UAlbany is everything they need to prepare them for the next step.
That's super. Thank you. Yannette, you've been honored as one of the Bronx's 25 most influential women. Why is it so important for you to give back to your community?
Before I answer that, I want to say congratulations to all my co-honorees. You're amazing, each and every single one of you. Secondly, I want to say it seems like a lot of us got married with people from SUNY Albany. So I also married my husband, who I met in SUNY Albany, and he likes to boast that he was an underclassman and I was older than him. My importance in giving back to my community, I believe, is we all have a duty once we make it to extend our hands back and propel the next generation forward. And for those of you that don't know, the Bronx is the poorest congressional district in the United States of America. I mean, that speaks volumes in itself. And during this global pandemic, we actually got hit the hardest. And I think it's important for me to go back to the community, which I often do, whether it's kindergarten, 5th grade, high school, college. I'm always doing a keynote speech. It's important for them to see that you can make it, and you can also go to college, and you can also be a judge, because education is the biggest weapon in your arsenal.
Great message. Rob, you've been a trailblazer on a number of fronts. If you were talking to a group of students right now, what advice would you give them about being an innovator and driving change?
Well, I mean, what always has driven me has been, curiosity and the passion. And it sounds really cliche, but it's really true. And, for me in the music industry, it's really interesting because you're around such talented, successful people, but unlike sports or other, fields, if you're a great athlete, by the time you're 12, 13 years old, you're on a list of, you're on an AAU team, or you're being trained how to speak to the media. I'm around people that are so raw and so honest with their emotions and have to figure it out and have to assemble teams. And you see the greatness of these people. They're not just talented musicians, but they start figuring out the business side of it, or else it doesn't work out for them because it's such a brutal, cutthroat industry. So, I think it's just being open, ask a lot of questions, find the people. I know the reason I speak at Albany. I could think of 3 or 4 people that came into my life at certain points and made such an impact on me. It might have been one thing they said, but it changed my whole philosophy on things. And, it was usually somebody who had been through very rough times. So I think it's just be open and listen to people that have been through the streets and the roads that you want to travel.
It's a great message. Thank you. Peter, in addition to your extraordinary body of research, you're also described as a dedicated mentor to numerous doctoral students. What motivates you to do that?
Well, in part, it's the experience I had at Albany. The graduate school experience, as well as the undergraduate experience, was sublime. I just had the most wonderful teachers semester to semester, and being able to give back in that way, the way it was modeled for me at Albany is a real privilege for me and a responsibility. And it's also, I know a few of the folks tonight have spoken to this, when you collaborate and create things that are new, it's just a wonderful experience. And I think it was Dan who said, we're not sitting alone in our rooms dreaming up the next study or article. It's the more collaborative things are, I think the more they tend to work out well and have more people benefit from them.
Excellent. Liza, while a lot of progress has been made in combating the COVID-19 pandemic, we're certainly not out of the woods yet. So what do you think are the biggest challenges that still lie ahead?
Well, I think right now we're in a good phase of really trying to do our best to get the public educated on vaccination. So we've had a lot of people that are very interested in being vaccinated, and thus far, we are getting out as much as we get. But we know that that's not going to last. We know that there are people that are reticent to get vaccinated. We know that there are people that, are convinced it's not the right step for them. So I think education, I think that, we have to look at communities, in particular underserved communities, and how we identify mentors within the communities, because I think people want to hear from the communities that they live, work, and breathe in, from their leaders, the trusted messengers. And so right now, that is my main focus, is really identifying within our community the trusted messengers to work with. And luckily, through the county health department and through the partnerships we have, like the partnerships with SUNY Albany, we have a great network of people that we can reach out to and identify to help those that are also committed to serving the communities that they live, work, and breathe in. So it's there's many challenges. I mean, of course, the vaccine is one, but we have to look at the fallout of this pandemic, and that is across, really the breadth of the way we work and live. There's economic fallout. There's fallout from mental health perspectives. There's education fallout. So there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done across community leaders of many fronts to get us back on track. And I look forward to continuing the work that we've started with our partners on the county, the state, and federal level. It's going to be a long haul. It's going to be a long haul, but I think I'm happy to be at the position that I'm in now, to be able to do something that is going to bring about the end of the pandemic.
Well, we're happy that you're in that leadership position as well. Thank you. Jean, you and your company, Ascendo Resources, do a lot of charitable work. Why is it important to you to pay it forward?
Well, I think first I want to commend Liza. We really appreciate that we have a great Dane on the front lines. It sounds like your work is extraordinary and much needed.
Thank you.
You know, our corporate philosophy is like many other companies. You know, we're part of the community in which we, you know, provide the recruiting and job placement services, but we also want to serve those that are not as fortunate and maybe need, you know, a little help at certain challenging times in their lives. Not everybody is, as I like to say, born on second base and, you know, rounds home. So, you know, I myself have had, you know, challenges like everybody on this call that we've had to persevere. And at some point in all of our lives, we've needed help. So that's a very important part of our organization, whether it be Feeding America, which is one of our main one of our main charities that we sponsor, just feeding people that just don't even know where their next meal is coming from. That's, you know, and helping children that are trying to go to school every day and don't even eat during the weekends. Like basically their main meals come when they go to school. So those are the types of organizations that, you know, we feel like we should partner with and support.
Oh, that's so important. Thank you. Achla, you hold a joint appointment in the Biocomplexity Institute at the University of Virginia and the Department of Public Health in the School of Medicine at UVA. What would you say to young women who are considering a career in the sciences?
Sure. Yeah, I would say keep an open mind, be willing to change and adapt as you go on. So even though, you know, I came from social sciences or humanities, my degree was in economics. My journey took me through different paths and disciplines. And even though often I didn't know, you know, how I'm going to, you know, achieve certain tasks and things, if you just, you know, keep faith in yourself, which often mine was shaken, but if you just carry on, somehow can, you know, pull through, then you will land on your feet. And it's worth the effort. And it's so just keep on going, and, you know, persistence and, you know, slow and steady wins the race. It's, you just, yeah, keep on going and you'll land on your feet.
That's a really important message. Thank you. All right. What do you say about the lightning round? Here's the question for this panel. In one sentence, tell me, what do you do when the going gets tough? What do you do when the going gets tough? We're going to start with Dan.
Go directly to depression as quickly as you can. Take about a 6-hour break and then get right back into it, because there is an answer out there, but you got to go through the steps.
Excellent. Don?
Do your homework. Just because you left class doesn't mean that you don't have to do your homework.
All right. Yannette?
I pray. Very, very, very strong relationship with God.
Rob?
You know, I just always think most people quit before they get to the good stuff. It's just, it's easy to, it's hard to get through it. So I think you just have to fight through it and know if you believe in it, keep going, you'll get there.
Excellent. Peter?
Yeah, well, I'm really fortunate to have wonderful family and friends and colleagues, and talking with them is always the best medicine.
Liza?
I would agree with Rob and say just keep going. I think that, you know, if the going gets tough, that is an indication that there's something you need to learn. And I'm a big proponent of being a lifelong learner. I got my MPH in 2012, but I got my MD in 1992. So, you know, there's always more to learn. As people speak about the curiosity, that's important. When you're curious, you learn things, you keep going, and you get through things. And if you're lucky, you can be successful. So it's perseverance too.
Super. Jean?
Well, I'm a runner, so I think about it as I'm running. I go through the problem, and then I have a great business partners, and we collaborate and we come up with a solution.
Great. Achla.
Stay positive, keep faith in yourself, and look at people, how they handle, when going got tough, and learn from their experiences.
Excellent. Thank you all. I truly appreciate everyone sharing with us tonight their thoughts, their experiences, and their memories of UAlbany. Congratulations to all of you on your tremendous honor and also on your amazing accomplishments. You are truly outstanding. It's really been a privilege for me to speak with you tonight and be part of this special evening. To everyone at home, please join me in a round of applause for these honorees. I know we all wish we could be in person, but this has been pretty darn close to the next best thing, right? This has been such a pleasure. Again, a tremendous evening. Thank you for joining us. Congratulations to these amazing alumni and friends of the community. And I wish everyone a great night.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Congrats.